Buddy, welcome to the live. Did we get everything right? Looks like we got our market update right. Looks like we got all our tabs up right. So, minor apologies for the delay. We had some setup hiccups. It happens. This lighting looks all bad. Let's see. Can we do? Does that make it better? A little bit. A little bit. I can't really see much now. Kind of bright. Let's not do that. So every single month, we do lives every Sunday, right? So the first Sunday of every month, we always go live and talk about the market and what the heck is going on. Is the market up? Is the market down? What do we do with all of this? How do we make sense of everything? So we're going to do that while we take a minute here to make sure that we're doing our sound checks and our visual checks. You're going to hear me okay. If you can, awesome. If you can't, let me know. Let's see, hop in our chat here for a sec. I'm going to check my own sound while we get everything ready. YouTube. And the whole point of the lives is to engage with you guys and talk with you guys. If you just want to see the market update, we're going to have a YouTube video. Okay, the YouTube video comes out some point before the 15th. So the point today is to go a little bit more in depth and to chat with everyone. See how everyone's doing, kind of go over what's going on in our world and go over specific questions that people may or may not have about real estate. Now, let's see here. I just want to make sure that everything is working because we did have a live a while back where no one could hear me, and that was kind of embarrassing. Yeah, sounds working. All right. So let's dig right in. Let's share our screen here. This tab's going to hide. You don't need to see that I'm buying new binders. Share our screen. This window. Share. And I break it. I broke it. Okay, enter the matrix. So what the heck is going on with real estate for this month? Now, what we're really trying to figure out right now is what we've been seeing. And don't get me wrong, I got the tabs up. I haven't looked at them yet. I pulled it up, but I don't know what's going on. So, last month we saw a 2% and some change. I think it was 2.6% increase month over month in pricing. We saw the number of listings kind of jumping up. We saw the number of sold listings going down. So what we would see from 2020 to 2023 till recently is a lot more sales, a lot more stuff coming on the market, and we were seeing our inventory shrink. But as of about last month, maybe the month before, we saw during the pandemic, a 20% price increase month over month that fell down and down and down and down. And now I think we're at a 2.6% price increase. So I'm very curious to see if our year over year price increase is still going down or if we're still around 2%. I'm very curious to see if our month supply, if our inventory is continuing to increase. I am not expecting to see really big changes in price necessarily because real estate happens slowly. For example, I have a listing right now that went live. It's had 4 showings in 4 weeks. That's abysmal. Basically never happened. At least it didn't happen a couple months ago, a couple years ago, especially. So what I'm expecting to see is prices not really take a dip for a couple months because even my clients, they're not looking at a price reduction right away. They want to put it on the market, let it soak, see what happens for a while, and eventually they'll give up and either reduce the price or just take it off the market, right? So we're not going to see really dramatic things happen right away, which is a really big thing we have to keep an eye on with this here because we're looking at things as it happens real time, and it's not going to exactly be apples to apples. Just because prices aren't dropping, that doesn't mean the prices aren't dropping, okay? They could be dropping because buyers won't buy them unless it's this price, but the sellers don't want to sell, right? So we're going to watch that dynamic really, really carefully and get a sense of, do we think it's going up? Do we think it's going down? What the heck is going on? So looking at what happened in this last month, The number of active listings jumped way up, right? Which we expect to see over the summer. That's normal. The number of sales, though, fell down. We had 548 sales in May and 491 in June. Now, keep in mind, no, we're in July, but we always look at last month's numbers because this month hasn't happened yet, right? This month hasn't closed yet. Keep an eye on any comments that are going on. So we're seeing an increase in the number of listings and a decrease in the number of sales. Okay. Now we did have a tick up in sales price here, it looks like, for the median sales price. I don't know if that means anything or not, because again, summers are usually more active, right? We are seeing the active median list price kind of hanging steady. But again, list price is just dreaming. If you look at the difference between the list price and the sales price, it's a big difference, right? So we don't really care about this number because that's the dreaming number. This is the reality number. Okay, so let's see. Our absorption rate way up. Look at that jump. We went from 2.5 months supply to 2.8 months supply. So we went from 2.02, 2.0 to 2.2 to 2.4 to almost 2.6 to 2.8. Okay. So we were hopping up about 0.2 months supply per month. And this month we jumped up from 0.5 to 0.8. 0.5, yeah, about 0.3. So we're seeing our inventory, our absorption rate go up fast. Now, what I want you guys to keep in mind is that if we settle somewhere between a 4 and a 6 month supply, that's an even market. Okay. That's where buyers and sellers are entering the market about equally. If we're below 4, it's a seller's market. If we're above, depending who you talk to, above 5 or 6, it's a buyer's market. Now, does this mean that we are in a buyer or a seller's market? It's tough to tell, right? Because this line isn't flat. Now, if it was flat like this, going straight across at 2.8, it'd definitely still be a seller's market. But with all of these homes hitting the market, we had 1,200 active listings, almost 1,300 active listings, and we have only 491 sales, right? We had 750 new listings and only 491 sales. So homes are entering the market way faster than they're selling, okay? Way faster. So I don't believe it's necessarily a buyer's market yet, but if this line keeps doing what it's doing, we're heading that way, okay? We're heading that way. This is going to be a really good summer for buyers. It's already a really good summer for buyers. And if this trend continues, which it's been continuing since January, right? Since January, it's been getting better. If it keeps doing this, we're going to be in good shape. Now, keep in mind, most years our supply kind of maxes out in November. So between now and November, it's going to be real important to keep an eye on what the heck is going on. But it should continue being better conditions for everyone until around November. Then around, December, everyone takes their homes off the market for the holidays, right? So it does seem like a really strong time for buyers. For sellers, it's still a good market. Okay. It's still a good market, but it doesn't feel anywhere near as good as it did in January or last year. Okay. Days on market took a tank. It's down to 32. Why do I think that is? I think we have a lot of listings that are sitting. We have a lot of listings that are still sitting. It seems like the folks that are pricing stuff low, stuff's going, right? Less than 30 days. The folks that are pricing stuff high or in their mind fair, it's not selling. So I think that this days on market is going to really jump once some of these listings close that have been on the market for 2 or 3 months. I do think it's going to do all kinds of really interesting things here, given a minute. So I don't think that all of these numbers are really accurate because of all of these listings that are entering the market and sitting. I think it's going to take us a while to really see what the heck is actually going on, okay? So while this is a picture of what's going on right now, it's not necessarily a good picture of the direction that we're going. So this does look like a good sign, selling in fewer days than we did for the last couple months, right? But this kind of counteracts it. Our overall absorption rate year over year is up 56%. We have a 2.88 absorption rate. Again, at 4, it could be considered an even market. Now, don't get me wrong, we're going up by 0.2, 0.3 per month. We're not like flying off the shelves. It's not going to be a 4 tomorrow, right? At this rate, we're looking at 6 or 7 months until it kind of evens out. But we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens, okay? I don't care about average. Averages get thrown off because we have luxury homes, right, that really mess with our numbers. Our median list price is $996,000. Median sales price, $975,000. So we are seeing about a 2% difference in the median list price, right? So people are listing a little bit higher, but the median sales price is up by, again, 2.86. That's a little bit better than I think it was last month. I forget if it was 2. We have to look at my old video. I think last month we were at like 2.5, but we're still in the twos. Historically speaking, for Ventura County, California, we are used to seeing a give or take between 1 and 4% price change every year, usually up. So now we're kind of back in the realm of what we would normally see, but it's been changing so much, right? Going back down to 2 like it is now. We'll see, right? But I think that this number here is going to shrink in the coming months. I don't know for sure, but I think it's going to shrink. It's been shrinking every month. As the first month is bumped up, but it didn't bump up by much. It bumped up by, I think, like 0.4%. Okay, so it's like in the normal realm. But I do think that we are going to see a significant decrease in this as the summer goes on. Okay. Now, in terms of the days on market, again, it is less than it was this time last year. But, well, okay, median's the same. Average is less. So depending on what you look at, homes are either selling just as fast as last year or the same speed as last year. But I think that's going to change because all of these listings, all of these new listings that hit the market here and here, well, I guess here and here, right? All these new listings that are hitting the market are going to have to do price reductions if they want to sell because we're listing more than we're selling. Okay. So I think that we are going to see this days on market take a jump here in the next couple months. If we look at it specifically in terms of sold listings, number of sold listings again is only 491 compared to last year's 514, and last year was considered a slow year compared to the last several years, right? We were kind of slow compared to COVID, but we're even slower than that. We're down to 4.5%. Now, when we compare that to the pending listings, how many homes are under contract? Only 425 compared to 515 last year. We're down 7. We have 17% fewer homes under contract last month than we had the year before. 17% less, okay? Number of active listings, way up, right? We're up 35% on our active listings. Number of new listings, again, way up. We have 750 new listings compared to 662 this time last year, okay? So real estate happens slowly. Nothing's going to happen on a moment's notice. We're not going to suddenly see a big change tomorrow, okay? When you look at the 08 crash, the 08 crash bottomed out around late 09. It took over a year for the market to really do its thing. So I don't think we're going to see anything immediate, dramatic, really crazy happen, but it is moving that way. So, before we hop into other specific cities, if anyone has questions, I'd love to hear it. But that aside, like, what does this mean for you? What does this mean for the market? If you're a seller in Ventura County, and I'm going to be honest, I don't do it in this show, but I have looked at LA and I have looked at Bakersfield, Kern County. If you're a seller, now's the time. Prices are not jumping up. Okay. You're not going to get 20% more if you wait a couple months, like you could a couple months ago, a couple years ago. Right. So if you're a seller, get rid of it. If you're a buyer, is it a good time to buy? Do you pull the trigger? What do you do? Well, for buyers, it's always so complicated because if you're spending $3,000 a month on rent, which is a pretty normal amount that people spend on rent, you're going to spend $36,000 waiting a year to see how much the prices drop. Will you save money by spending a 36 grand on your rent or more? Houses out here are like what, 4 grand a month. So if you're going to spend between 36 and $48,000 waiting, are you going to get that back if you wait a year? Probably not, right? Probably not. But what you can get right now is if you go to these homes that are kind of sitting, the homes that are there for most listings are going to expire at 90 days. Okay, 90 days, usually the listing expires. So if you're going and looking at listings that are somewhere between the, 60 and 90 day mark, bring your lowball offer. Bring a good offer that favors you. Okay, a fair offer in your eyes, or maybe a little low. They're going to be very likely to accept it because they're freaked out. Heck, my listing's freaked out, right? My listing has been on for 30 days and they're like, what the heck? Don't homes sell in 2 days? What is this, right? So if you go to homes that are listed over 30 days, but especially homes that are listed between 60 and 90 days, this could be your time. This could be your time to get a good deal, okay? Now, don't get me wrong. Prices could always fall. You never know. Prices can do weird things. But at the end of the day, if you're spending money on rent, are you really going to save money by waiting for the market to crash? Maybe, but it'd have to crash by at least $30,000, $40,000 a year, right? That's a tough thing to do. It's not necessarily going to happen. So what do you guys think? Do you guys what's your opinion? I love, again, give me some comments. I'd love to see what's going on. I'd love to see what you guys think about the market. Answer any questions you guys might have. Now, if you're staying with mom and dad and you're hanging out, you're paying zero because you're living in a basement, you're living in a guest room, whatever it is, I'd probably wait. Because I think that the market conditions are going to favor buyers more as time goes on. We're seeing a 2% increase. Worst case, save a little money, right? Our year-over-year median increase is, what was it? Like $20,000. So, worst case, maybe homes are $20,000 more next year. Hopefully you can save, right? So, if you're in a position where you have really low rent, or if you're in a position where you have no rent, right? I'd probably wait. I'd watch it. Keep coming back to these market updates. Keep an eye on what's going on. Now, again, for sellers though, I'd say now's the time. I don't foresee you getting a lot of extra money. Summer is the best time to sell. It's usually also one of the greatest times to buy because there's a lot of selection. I call it overall, if you're selling your home, most people selling their home are getting something else. If you're selling your home and buying a home, you're going to get about top dollar. Conditions are about as good as they're going to get. Seems like they're getting worse as time goes on. So great time to sell, but also a good time to buy. You've got selection. You've got, again, the same power that buyers have over you have over your, new place you're buying. So it really does seem like a good time for everyone right now. And I'm worried watching this. I'm worried that as time goes on, it's going to be a worse time for folks. So I think that now is a good time across the board for buyers and sellers. About as good as we're going to get. Now then, let's pull this guy out again. Let's get our screen share going. What's happening here? All my buttons are acting funny. Share screen. There we go. We will take a look back at how the market is doing. So that was countywide. That's our countywide average. But the countywide average doesn't really show what's happening to everyone everywhere, right? So in Thousand Oaks usually follows the average pretty good. We're seeing this really crazy jump up, but we're still about 2.5 months supply. We're seeing a lot less inventory, only 50 homes sold compared to 57 last month. Listing prices, sales price went up. Sales price went up to 1.16. So let's take a look at the actual year-over-year numbers. That's going to kind of give us a little more of a hint of what's going on. And don't forget, when we look at specific cities, we're only looking at 55 listings, right? 55 sales, 50 sales even, not even 55. So, we can see very volatile things when we look at specific cities. And for Thousand Oaks, it does include Newbury Park as well. So it's a pretty big zip code relative to, not zip code, big cluster because it has more zip codes compared to like Camarillo or Moore Park, right? But for Thousand Oaks, They're a 2.5 month supply compared to a 1.8 last year. The median sales price is 1.16 compared to 1.14. So it's only a 1.75% price increase year over year. The median days on market sitting at 20 compared to 23. But again, I think that's the same as we saw overall for everybody, right? So, for Thousand Oaks, it seems like it's a little bit scarier than the county average overall. Like I said, folks, ask your questions, ask away. I'd love to hear what you got going on in real estate, what your thoughts are. It's supposed to be for us to chit chat and engage, not just for folks to watch. So I'd love to hear what your opinions are and what the heck is going on. So the next city, we got Camarillo. Again, Camarillo is usually a little bit quieter, a little bit lower price. We're still seeing pretty much the same charts as we saw in the in Thousand Oaks and countywide. Our absorption rate is 1.88, so they have a lot less supply than what we're seeing everywhere else, but it jumped up a lot, right? It went from 1.26 to 1.88. So still strong sellers market, but a 50% change, 49.21% change year over year. Okay, so still sellers market, but things are happening here. The median sales price jumped up 5%. So that's still a big jump compared to what happened countywide, but that could be carried by just one or two big sales. Do they have a big sale? Let's see. If I scroll down here, what's their, yeah, they sold a 4.5 million that messed with that number. So again, that's where these numbers can get really deceptive, right? If you have a 4.5 million that sells, that can mess with stuff. But the median sales price jumped up 5%. So again, we're not seeing those 20% changes. We're not seeing even over 10 like it was, and it does seem to be shrinking, right? Days on market sitting right around 14, which again, fast sales, but do we have stuff sitting? Is stuff sitting on the market? If it is, we're going to see that start creeping up. I have Thousand Oaks twice. I have Thousand Oaks twice. Next up, we got Moore Park. Moore Park, smaller city, a little more rural, right? We have an absorption rate of 2.6. That's up from 1.53. Again, 70% change year over year. Big change. Median sales price is sitting at $937,500, which is a 10% increase. But Moore Park is extra guilty to the whole volatile pricing because they have very, very luxurious and very, very affordable properties there. So, yeah, I mean, they did have a 1.5 sell, which is the same as we had last year, but then they got this 1.4 and this 1.3 kind of carrying it, right? So I don't know if it's necessarily reflective of what's going on in the community when we have these small number of listings, because we only have 18 sold. When you have only 18 sold, the numbers do weird things. But median sales price is up 11%, 10.95. I mean, does that mean you shouldn't worry Moore Park? I don't think so. I mean, Moore Park's doing well, but I would be nervous still. I would want to sell if I'm thinking about selling. How come Moore Park hops on there twice? That's weird. I did weird buttons. Simi Valley. Simi's a little bit bigger. We got a lot more stuff going on. We got 79, right? That's a lot more than we have in other cities. But look at that dip month over month of sold listings. Went from 108 to 79. It's summertime. We're supposed to take off. We're supposed to see this line going up, right? We're supposed to see this happening. So in Simi, their supply is at 2.45. Absorption rate's 2.45 compared to 1.73, a 40% increase. Again, we're favoring buyers a lot more than we were just a year ago. Median sales price is sitting right at $849,000, which is a 7.13% increase. Days on market sitting at 22 compared to 17. So again, stuff's sitting longer. We're seeing a lot more selection. Great time to be a buyer, right? A little bit scarier time to be a seller. But again, if you're a seller, don't be scared. 2.45 is still awesome. Historically speaking, it is great, right? Not as good as it was last 4 years, but you can't use the last 4 years. Last 4 years was just broken. That wasn't fair. Using that is just, it's not a normal market to be comparing to. All right. So that's more or less what the heck is going on with the market. It's kind of what I'm seeing. My brokerage is seeing a lot of listings sit. we're seeing, for kind of some story time here. I have this home listed. It's a manufactured home here in Newbury Park, in right off of Ventura Park Road, and I do a lot of marketing, and so I get a lot of agents actually calling me and asking like, "Hey, are you getting showings?" Oh no, man, we got 4 in 4 weeks, and they're like, "Yeah, same here. We got 2." It's a sign of the times. The market's doing things. I don't know if it's just impacting our listings, which would be very unlucky, right? Maybe, but that would be very unlucky. But realistically, what's happening is kind of across the board. We're seeing it in luxury a lot. We're seeing it in manufactured homes a lot. We're seeing it less in houses. We're seeing it less in houses that are on the lower price range, but it's creeping. It's creeping, right? It's going to start with these types of homes, it's going to expand out to everybody else. So, I would love to hear your thoughts. What do you think is going on with the market? Are you guys thinking about buying, selling? Do you think it's a good idea? Let me know. I'd love to know what is going on. But, that aside, that's more or less what's going on with the market. We're seeing it slow down. And, a lot of people are worried, but from my perspective, thank goodness. We don't want to see 20% price increases every year. We don't want to see 50 offers on every home because people can't get what they want. That was miserable. That was miserable. So, I would say best case, we have more or less returned to normal, and we're in a more normal market, or a relatively normal market now, which would be awesome. Worst case, we're seeing stuff crash. We're seeing it in real time, in slow motion. And which one is it? I don't know. I think that the next 2 or 3 months are going to be extremely telling for if the market is crashing or if it's not, because we're only at 2% up year over year, right? If it falls to 1, if that falls to 0, if that falls to negative, if that falls to 0 or negative, that's going to be huge, huge news. If our month supply creeps up to 4 to 6, that's big news. If it creeps up over 6, again, huge news. So we're at a point right now where, as we've done these market updates in the past, it's been like moving towards things, moving towards those tipping points. Now we seem to kind of be at that tipping point of, is the market going to go up or down? Because from here, whatever direction it goes in is a big deal. When it's already out here, up here, I guess, let's say, nowhere to go but down, really, for the most part, right? But now we're right in the middle. We're right in normal land, and the stuff's still moving pretty dramatically. So, overall, again, typical sales guy thing to say, right? But if you're looking to buy or sell, seems like now is one of the best times you can do it. If you wait, who knows what's going to happen? But specifically for people that are selling and not buying, I'm talking downsizers that want to cash out and be done. I think now is the time. Let's get this camera pointed down a little bit. For people who are downsizing, want to sell and be done, do it now. Okay. Whether you're moving into a retirement home, moving in with someone, or whatever it is, if you want to sell a home and be done, now is the time. If you are thinking about buying for the first time with no rent, you don't got any rent, wait. Okay. Hang out and wait. If you have rent, now's the time. Don't spend that 30, 40K on rent. Use that as your payment for your house for the year. Okay. If you're thinking about upsizing or downsizing, selling what you got and buying another thing, again, now, because if it gets too much harder to sell, you're going to have a really hard time selling your property and buying the new property without weirdness in the middle. We can still usually navigate that pretty well right now. But I think that if we get too much tougher than it is right now, making that move smoothly without having to rent or do something weird in the middle, I think it's going to get progressively more challenging as the year goes on. So again, guys, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for tuning in, for everyone who's here. And I'll catch you guys next week, every Sunday. Now, one more question for you guys, actually, before I go. we usually have a topic of every month. I've been doing a topic of every month. It's been a lot of fun. Um, this month is supposed to be investor month, talking about what you have to do to invest in real estate and make money and have good cap rates and what the heck does that all mean. But most of my clients lately have been downsizing. So, do you think that we should keep doing a diversified show talking about different things every month? Or do you think we should kind of narrow in and just focus on helping people downsize and just, hit that really hard and go into everything there is to know about downsizing? I'm on the fence because I love both. I'm good at both. But it seems like the downsizing folks need the most help. I'd love your thoughts down below.